Hey everyone, it's Curly, and today we're going to be playing Zorga Mask. This is like my 500th attempt to try and record this because I either misplay or I don't get to see Zorga Mask and I just end up winning because it's just base Zorga stuff. Here's the list. Let's jump into the fight. Alright, we're playing against Gandiva, which was actually the deck that I was going to cover today, but I figured everyone maybe knows this deck already pretty well, but I think I'll do that maybe next week, something like that. But it's probably one of the better matchups for Zorga Mask, because this deck can actually deal with Gandiva's Retire, because it doesn't care too much. Because it has units that just want to be in drop anyway, so like, cool, thanks. Thanks for that. We're going to go ahead and get a pretty order-filled hand here. We're going to go second, so we're going to draw from our starter here. Get 2 mushrooms, so I'm going to actually rush them pretty hard here. We, of course, do not get any prison dragons. We're going to Soul Blast here with the Ranger Chain to draw 2. Still get no prison dragons, which is very unfortunate. I could do something cheeky here, honestly. Where I play these guys out, the burrow mushrooms, put them into soul in order to get 2 tokens here, and then do that again. I swear, because of the way I have the deck built, every time I try to like record this, I just either do a huge misplay, which causes me the game, or I end up doing hokey stuff like this, where I just ending rushing down my opponent with like tokens and prison dragons. Well, not prison dragons, because I haven't gotten them yet in any of the games I've tried to do. I end up just not getting them, which is really unfortunate. But we're gonna go ahead and set up a board here of tokens. One of the other reasons that Zorga doesn't care too much about getting even as Retire is, you know, if I have a board full of tokens or prison dragons, retire them, bro. I could give a shit. I want you to retire my prison dragons anyways, right? So it's a deck that just doesn't get hurt by the retire, which is really good. But it can also pressure Gandiva early, either with, you know, tokens or even just the prison dragons themselves, which is really sick. So then that the Gandiva just can't get anything, right? They can't get ahead because they really only become, they just zoom up this huge hill of power, but only on turn 3 and forward. Before that, they don't really do too much, to be honest, because all they can really do is maybe play some of the grade 2s to try and attack you with. Maybe use like the that dragon that on hit can like retire and draw, and that's about it. So we're just gonna go ahead and rush them down here. They're also not gonna be able to ride for free because they are playing the native Gandiva ride line, which does say if your opponent has 1 or less rear guards, you can ride this for free. But we have 4 rear guards, so they're going to go ahead and have to discard here to ride, and then they have the skill where they can call this out. Is it mandatory to call it out? Yes, you don't have to call it out, but they decided to call it out to have it as a booster, which I think is fine for the most part. They're going to go ahead and swing in here. Do we want to guard this? I don't think we do. We don't really need the counterblast, to be honest. I don't play anything that has... I don't really play a lot of orders that have counterblast, so we'll guard this for 1 to pass. They're gonna break through. Okay, that's fine. I had a feeling they were gonna do that because that's just the way of the game, right? You rush your opponent, they're bound to hit you with a crit, or they'll just get steamrolled, right? There's no like in between. We're unfortunately gonna lose that order, which sucks, and we're gonna lose that, which also kind of sucks, but that's okay. That is a-okay. We are gonna be able to kind of do the same thing again here. So let's go ahead and discard, of course, this prison dragon here. Then use the skill of our Black Tears Husk Dragon to choose an order from our drop and add it to our hand. I already have a Frozen Resentment, so we'll add the Golden Magnolia order again back to our hand here. And we're going to overcall one of our tokens here in order to call out the Shadow Cloak in order to get the Massive Vision Room into a drop. I usually play just one copy of the Masques to be honest, because you can just use Shadow Cloak to put into drop and then use that to get your Zorga to ride into it. So we have a couple of options here. I don't know if I want to do this, to be honest, because I feel like we want to save this for next turn to Alchemy Magic with it. So I think we'll just do this again, right? What we'll do is we'll select this token again, but then we'll use the skill here of our dragon to call it out over here. We could be cheeky and try and get the crit because it will be like almost 30, like 20 or something like that after a while. And we can go ahead and Soul Blast here. Also for the Shadow Cloak, that says when you play an order, you can give this 5k with Soul Blast 1. But if you Alchemy Magic, you can actually return something to your hand. Which we'll talk about more about that in a second here. So let's go ahead and swing in here. We'll use the skill here to get this. Yeah, Shadow Cloak is great because you have the ability to get the mask straight from your deck into a drop, so you can then use it to go into your Zorga mask. But you also have the ability to like call out PGs or triggers or what have you, and then use that to bounce it back to your hand. Because Shadow Cloak says if you Alchemy Magic, you can Soul Blast, give this +5, and then take a unit on board, add it to your hand. So that allows you to just cycle out your PGs, which is pretty good, especially for a deck that plays a bunch of grade 3s and orders. It's kind of needed. We're gonna go ahead and power up our token even more here to somewhat bully this Gandiva player, which I feel like most people will be okay with. Most people are pretty sick of Gandiva. They're gonna lose all their grade 1s, but gonna go ahead and swing in here. We do leave ourselves a little bit open for the Gandiva turn here because of the fact that they will be able to go into Gandiva free with the skill and retire multiple grades, right? Because we have different grades here. Gandiva's skill says Counterblast, choose opponent's units with different grades, then reveal top 5. If the grades match, retire them. You can choose up to 3, so they can very easily hit a trigger, one of their grade 3s, and a grade 2, right? Those are the most common grades in their deck, so they can very easily retire a whole board, but it's fine. We have our Prison Dragon, we have our Mask, we can Alchemy Magic, we should be okay. We're at 2 damage, we have okay shield value, we should be able to bring this back. They don't have a lot of cards in hand. It doesn't seem like they got the best Harvest either, which is one of the best cards in Gandiva that's not, you know, specifically supporting Gandiva, where whenever they retire, they can draw a card. So they're not going to get a lot of advantage back here, which is really good. Instead, they're just going to use the skill of the grade 2 that just says on place. If you have a Gandiva, Counterblast, retire. Then Gandiva says if you retire, bind something from your drop. One of the semi-cool things here is that, like, for Gandiva, is that you can bind your crits. They show you in Deer Days before they bind it, but then you can't look at it because it's face down. We will take this. If they check crit and kill us, wipe us off the face of the map, that's just that's just how we're gonna go out, right? Fine, but we're fine. We can take this. But the other cool thing is that it doesn't show you if it's from like the ride deck or anything like that, which is kind of cool. Because in person you can tell something is from the ride deck because it has different sleeves. But here, when you look at the bind zone, it just looks like that face down, which is kind of neat. They're gonna attack into our Prison Dragon, which you don't want to do that, buddy. Because I'm just going to be able to bring it back. Unfortunately, it seems like they might not be very well versed in Gandiva. Of course, against Zorga, I should say. Since they did manage to retire something, Gandiva does let them, you know, bind again, but it doesn't really matter too much. So we're actually going to get another Zorga in hand, but then they're going to go ahead and... It's my loss because I didn't get to show off what I wanted to do. They're going to go ahead and give up, unfortunately. Man! So here's the list that I was trying to show off. Unfortunately, I rushed my opponent too much and I didn't get to actually show off the things that the deck can do. I play my list a lot more aggressively so that I can do that kind of stuff. Play the tokens, the Prison Dragons early kind of deal. That's kind of how I built my deck to do that because I find that to be a lot more fun. You can play it a lot more conservatively however you want. There's like 50 million ways to play this deck. I'm starting off with the ride line. We're playing the pure Zorga ride line, grade 0, grade 1, Rancor Chain, Soul Blast, draw 2 on Vanguard Circle in main phase. Choose an order from your drop, from your hand, discard it. If not, discard 2 cards. So either you get an order and you discard it, or you discard 2. It's one or the other. no way around that. But next turn, when you ride into the Black Tears Husk Dragon, when he's on Vanguard Circle and you ride it, you can choose an order from your drop and get it back. So you get that card back, which is nice. But it's also nice in case you use stuff like the grade 1's orders early, you can also get that back to use it again like I did using this order. And of course, our Vanguard that we didn't get to ride here is going to be the Dead Sea Spiritualist Grave Zorga, the Red Zorga as it's more colloquially known here. Has 2 skills. When you Alchemy Magic, your final gets +5, and you can Soul Blast, discard a card from your hand, choose an order, normal order from your drop. From your drop, add it to hand, and when you were to Alchemy Magic with a normal order, you can bind another normal order with a different card name from the first one to Alchemy Magic with it. Again, Alchemy Magic is you play an order from hand, you take one from your drop, you bind that, and then you combine their skills. So if this order says get 5k and this one says retire, you get 5k and you retire. But you have to pay both their costs. So if this one is Counterblast, this one is Soul Blast, you do Counterblast Soul Blast, right? So that's all that really does. But the main star of the show, of course, are the Prison Dragons and the Zorga Masques that I didn't get to ride here, which has a bunch of skills. 1, you can only ride this over Zorga. 2, when you play a normal order, you bind a normal order to Alchemy Magic. Doesn't have to be a different name, so it removes that restriction, which is really good. 3, when you Alchemy Magic, your front row gets +10, so you get double Persona Ride, essentially. And then 4, where you can remove a Zorga with a different card name from itself, to then choose a card. If it's a unit, call it, and if it's a normal order, add it to your hand. So it gives you that sort of flexibility to get your stuff back, which is really great. You really can only use that once, so you kind of got to think about when to use that. The main things that you're going to be using as your, to deal damage is, of course, the Roman Prison Dragons from set 4, which in your drop, if you play a normal order, you can call this out and then have them get either 10k or a crit. But if you Alchemy Magic, they get both skills. This, you have to make sure it's in drop when you play your orders. If you play an order that then puts it into drop, it doesn't count because it wasn't in drop to see the activation of the order. It is different when it comes to stuff like the Tearful Malice, that for the cost to play it, you first retire, then you play the order. So that then at that point, you can actually call them out. Which is why Tearful Malice is really great. I used to play this at 2, but then I saw it too much when I didn't need it because I'm playing the Mushroom, so I cut it down to 1. For the orders, we're playing here the Cloud Miasma, which says Counterblast 1, call something from drop, and then if it's Alchemy Magic, your Vanguard can give your front row +5. Tearful Malice, retire 2 rear guards, draw, put this card into soul, counter charge. The Mask of Hydrogrum, when you play like a top 5, add something with Dragon to your mask, and then if you have a grade 3, while this specific order is near your drop, if you have a grade 3 that doesn't have a mask in its name, you can then reveal a grade 3 that does have a mask in its name to write it, stand, and then put the order from drop into soul, and then if your opponent's grade 3 and you didn't Persona Ride, you activate Persona Ride. So this is how we get into this. We don't really want to hard ride this unless we're Persona Riding over it itself. We're playing the cup, to be able to Persona Ride it, because you can very easily, from your drop, Alchemy Magic, and then hit the Persona Ride if you don't see it. So it's really nice to be able to do that. We're of course playing this in Search for an Ideal Far Away, to do basically what I did in the opener there, where we were able to rush down our opponent. And then there also is a free costless order that very easily gets you your Prison Dragons. Because if you have 3 Prison Dragons in drop and you activate 1 order, you can call all of them. After the order and everything resolves, you can call as many Prison Dragons as you have in drop, as long as they were there when before the order was activated. We play 2 Foes and Resentment, Soul Blast like a top 3, put one of those 3 to drop, and then call something. This is mainly to just get out all the Prison Dragons. I'm playing 2 because I just never see these douchebags, and I still only saw 1 that game. We're playing 3 of the Barrel Mushrooms, an amazing card. Ghost of Soul gives you 2 tokens. This deck suffers from a lot of soul, but this fills it up and also lets you overcall your Prison Dragons so that you can then call them out again when you play an order. And it just gives you tokens to rush with, tokens to boost with, whatever the case may be. And then we also play here the Dragon Tree Wench. This is the only Wench I play because we have the Shadow Cloak to get the mask for us. But this lets us Counterblast get a marker on place, and if we're on grade 3, we can Counterblast Soul Blast to get a normal order. Yeah, normal order from our drop to our hand. The reason that we don't play any of the other one, the Serpent, is because we have Shadow Cloak. Shadow Cloak says on place from hand, search your deck for 1 order, reveal it, and if your drop doesn't have the same name as it, put it into drop. So we can very easily choose our mask, put it into drop. That way we can activate it from drop, we don't have to worry about it, and it's also free, right? Then we have the skill here that also says when you play an order, you can Soul Blast to get 5k, but if you Alchemagic, you can choose a rear guard, add it to your hand. It has to be another rear guard, you can't just choose Shadow Cloak. So you can do things like use Frozen Resentment to mill Zorga Mask, call out Zorga Mask. Then if you Alchemagic, you can then use this to add your Persona right back to hand. Likewise, you can call out your PGs, add them back to hand with Shadow Cloak. So there's a lot of versatility, a lot of different ways you can go with this deck, which is what makes it so good. And I'm being funky here, and I'm playing 2 draws, 2 fronts, because I'm a funny little guy. You can go, I think the typical list is like 3-4 fronts. So you can do that instead. And then the last thing here is the Kel Severing, who just says from drop, if your Zorga Mask specifically attacks, you counterblast, retire a rear guard if you don't already have a copy of this card, to then call it onto a circle with the Dragon Tree marker specifically. So there's a lot of restrictions on it. But we're only playing 1 copy of it because it's not really the main focus. Our main focus of this build is to rush and then finish off with the Prison Dragons, right? If this happens, it happens. And of course, this just lets you discard an order, give your Vanguard an extra drive. You can use this on turn 2. More rush potential. That's the list. Let's try and see if I can jump into a match where I actually get to go into Zorga Mask. Alright, so we've got a game here against a fellow Zorga player. That would imply that I'm a Zorga player, but you know what I mean here. We can do quite a couple of things here. They went ahead and they did double Shadow Cloak. I'm trying to decide what I want to Alchemagic with. So I'm thinking we Alchemagic with this. So I think we discard the Shadow Cloak here, go into the red Zorga. We immediately use this here, the mushroom, put it into soul, get 2 tokens, let's call them here and here, and let's go ahead and, do I want to bring an order back to my hand? I don't think I want to do that, to be honest. So let's go ahead and, I might actually end up, I think it might be best to switch to Blue Zorga. I always go back and forth, honestly, between which one of them is better, but we're gonna go ahead and play this out. I kind of wish I didn't discard the Shadow Cloak, but I didn't want to discard anything else here. So we're gonna go ahead and go into our Zorga Mask, and I can actually finally do things. I'm gonna be a little bit cheeky here, and I'm going to go ahead and use this order and Alchemagic with the Frozen Resentment. So we're gonna discard the Mask of Aging Room for cost, and we're going to go ahead and Soul Blast out the normal Zorga for the cost of the Frozen Resentment. And we're going to look at top 3. Unfortunately, we're just going to get mushrooms. We're going to put that to drop. I can call out a Shadow Cloak, but it's not going to get any of its effects. It's not going to be able to do anything. So what I can do is I can call out these mushrooms for next turn, maybe. We have the triple drive, and then we'll go ahead and call out our boy. Over here, the Prison Dragon. It's going to get both the effects because I did manage to Alchemagic. And I can try and get an order into my hand for next turn with both of these guys. I'm going to use this one first to Soul Blast out. And we're going to grab ourselves this order. Yeah. And then we're not going to use the skill of Zorga. We're just going to go to battle here. We're going to swing in here with our Vanguard, boosting with the mushroom that we want to use for next turn to swing in for 29. Hope to get a front. Even though I'm a funny guy and I play draw triggers, we'll see how this can go out. We're going to hit the Shadow Cloak here. And then we're going to hit the Beast out the whatever. And then we're going to hit the critical trigger. There we go. That's perfect. So we're going to give power here. This is going to be 28. We're going to give the other power here. Or we're going to give the crit here power here. And like I mentioned, you have to kind of go fast. I might have mentioned this. I don't remember. I've tried to record this several times, so I don't remember what I've said and what I haven't said. But you want to go fast. You want to try and do your plays on your opponent's turn. So use your opponent's time to figure out what you're going to do next here. So that you don't run out of time, because you're very often going to be very close down to the wire unless you have a somewhat vanilla turn. If not so much because of what you're thinking about doing, it's just because you have a lot that you can do, right? Especially your first grade 3 turn. They're going to go ahead and double intercept with both Shadow Cloaks here. And then I'm assuming they're just going to go ahead and take the offense here from the Roman Prison Dragon. But we'll see. We didn't get the Persona right, otherwise this would have been 50k. which is typically what this, you know, swings in. It's usually like 40, 45, depending on if you have like on a marker or something like that. So it's really hard because it's always 2 cards to guard, and then the Vanguard sometimes has triple drive, so it's just a whole mess. Next turn, we can try and do something funky here, but we'll see how this all plays out. They're gonna go ahead and PG that attack there, and it's gonna go back to them. We don't have the craziest hand, to be honest. I don't even have Persona Ride. I do have the Shadow Cloak in the hand, so if I can manage to keep that, I can discard the Regalia from my deck to then activate Persona Ride, but I will probably then have to use this to get an order back into hand in order to activate this from hand. I didn't want to add this to hand. I kind of quickly panicked and was like, yellow order, yes, grab that. But, alright. They're going to go ahead and toss away the Tearful Malice to drop with their Shadow Cloak here. They, I think, already have 2 Prison Dragons, first of all, so they're doing better than I am. They're playing this order, which is kind of interesting. But I don't see the Zorga mask, which is interesting because this might just be regular Zorga because they're playing normal Zorga in the deck, which, you know, could be possible if this is like someone that doesn't have the DLC, because now that I'm looking at it, that would explain why they're using like that set 1 card as opposed to something else. And this, so it looks like we're fighting against regular Zorga here, which is pretty interesting. And I've got the power of money on my side that I got the DLC, but we'll see if it actually matters in the end. Alright, so they're just going to go ahead and swing in here. Thankfully, they lost the overtrigger early. If they had checked that now, I'd be dead because I don't have any PGs. But very thankfully, I did manage to check a front trigger because I took the Vanguard swing and they checked a crit. So that now allows me to guard here with my 2 triggers that I managed to have in hand. So we can survive and do the play that I was talking about, where we'll play Shadow Cloak, dip our Persona Ride, unless we top deck it here. Dip the Persona Ride, the Chalice, and then activate it. No, we did not get it. We don't get Persona Ride. So what we'll do is that we'll call this out on top of the Prison Dragon. Use the skill here to very quickly dip this Chalice here, put it into drop. And then we can use the skill here of Zorga Mask to remove the original red Zorga in order to add something that is not the red one. Let's say we add this to our hand. Then we can go ahead and activate this Alchemagic with the Regalia, discarding the Mask of Hydra. We can bind the Chalice because we can only use that once per game anyways, so that's gone. We don't have to worry about that. So we're going to go ahead and Persona Ride, draw a card, activate an order, and also be able to bring something back to our hand. What we can do is we can be a funny little guy here, and we can actually Soul Blast. Bounces back to hand, but still get the, I was going to say Shadow Armory token, get the Prison Dragon over here. And it's going to get the crit and the power. We're going to... Whoops, okay. I thought I moved the Vanguard. I thought I moved this column for a second. We're going to go ahead and use this to put it into Soul. To get 2 tokens, why not? Call them out here, it's fine. But what I really wanted to do was to call this out right here and use its skill here to counter blast. And give myself a Dragon Tree marker over here, so this actually hits for better numbers. We don't have the Kill Servering. We could add an order this turn, but we'll have no counterblast for next turn, which might be fine. We'll Soul Blast now. We can add... We'll have to like add the Mask of Hydra, which really sucks. Let's maybe add this, and then go to battle here. We're gonna swing in first with our Vanguard, who has the triple drive also. So if we check fronts or what have you, it's going to make it really difficult for our opponent to be able to guard this here. But we'll see how this works. They're going to no guard here. We're just going to check PG, which is good. We need that to deal with these Prison Dragons. We're going to check an order, which is not as good. And then hopefully something good. It's going to be another Prison Dragon, which would have been nice 5 turns ago, honestly. But that's fine. We're going to be able to hit for 1 here. Hopefully no defensive's good. They lose their golden order, so we don't have to worry about that coming at us. Let's try and... I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's do this maybe first. Because this, I feel like if they have the PG, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell for Zorga because most of these cards could just be cards with no shield. So it's kind of hard to tell if it was better to go with the crit. But since they're at 4 damage, it's kind of whatever. Now they have a little bit of a buffer to not die here. We don't really have the best anything for next turn, honestly. We do have the ability to discard this for the PG. We do have 2 PGs. So it just kind of depends on what one of the additional attacks is. We might have to just no guard the Vanguard, which is gonna suck. Because we can really only guard 2 attacks. Unless somehow they don't Persona Ride and they are max 30 power with one of their swings, then we can guard with like this and the Shadow Cloak. But we'll see how that goes. Okay. They're gonna get in PG, they're gonna drop the Nectar of Sensationalism, I think it is. Yeah. And I think... No, okay, I thought they discarded another order, but they actually played 2 of these, so that's kind of scary. Hopefully we don't see that again. They are gonna be able to get the Persona Ride here. Draw a card. 5-card hand. They still have their Prison Dragons out on the board here. So we'll see how this goes. I would have been able to, you know, I might be able to like do something next turn because I can like activate this to bring something back, give front row power. What can I Alchemy Magic with? I don't have Persona Rider, which really sucks. I do have 2 orders technically, so I could use this again. So I can like, if I have the Counter Blast, I can use this, but more likely it'll be this Alchemy Magic with the golden plus drive order, and then discard this. So if I can leave my turn with just having these 2 in hand, we might be okay, but we'll just have to see how this plays out. They're gonna play the Rogue Headhunter, which is gonna give them the ability to one, he gets 5k when you play an order, but also their first Counter Blast is free. I think specifically for Alchemy Magic. Yeah. So. We'll see how this... Or it's not free, it's reduced by 1 Counter Blast, I should say. It's just typically it's always 1 Counter Blast, so it's free. So now they have to play an order. They also have to Soul Blast. Okay, so they're not going to... Okay, so that answers that. I thought you had to use this skill to like Soul Blast, get the order, and into Alchemy Magic, but I guess not. That or they already did it and I wasn't paying attention. Either way, they're gonna go ahead and Alchemy Magic here. I didn't really get to see what. Oh, I guess they used this. Okay. Was that what they did? I don't think that's what they did. They have 2 Nectars. Maybe that's what they did. Okay. In order to get the Prison Dragons here, I might have to just 1 past the Vanguard. That might have to be something we do, or no guard the Vanguard. One of these 2 things is what's gonna have to happen for me to survive. So I got 1, 2 crit, 3 crit. Oof, they have a lot of crits left in deck. That's not good. They're bound to hit 1, but that's honestly the best bet, so that I can PG both these attacks because I can't guard them. They're 43, and I have 2 PGs but 3 attacks. So my best bet is to guard, no guard here, hope for no crits, and then we can, you know, come back next turn. No Persona Ride unless I top deck that, but yeah. Front trigger, that's fine. Get them as huge as possible. That doesn't matter because I happen to have 2 PGs, thankfully. It just matters whether or not you take a crit, which you don't. Okay, so they have the draw, they have something they drew from a draw, and they have a front, but also a order in hand. We're gonna take a Prison Dragon into damage, which is alright. Is there something good I can bring back for my drop? No, right? Not really. So we're gonna go ahead and PG here. I was trying to decide if maybe now that we have the Counter Blast, if I should use this, but I feel like this is the better option because, oh, yeah, don't resolve that. Since I technically played an order, I can Soul Blast to get it at 5k, which is kind of funny, but I can't Alchemy Magic my opponent's turn or anything like that, so it's not like I can bounce something. That would be kind of cool though if you can Alchemy Magic on your opponent's turn. So we're going to be able to go ahead and PG here. Have exactly the 2 cards in hand that I need, that I was saying. So we'll go ahead and PG, discard the crit here. I just need a unit, unfortunately, to be able to overcall this guy. That's all I really need. Come on. Ugh, that is not at all what I wanted. That is unfortunate. So we're only going to be able to do 1 here. Ugh. We finally got double Prison Dragon, but I have no way to get rid of this guy right now. So, yeah, that is unfortunate. I can't think of what would be the best. There's nothing good in my deck that I want to call out, but I can mill my deck. Possibly check some more triggers, or I can use this to get more power. I feel like this is the better play. And then we Alchemy Magic with this. We're gonna go ahead and Soul Blast, and we can discard, let's say this one. Unfortunately, like if I were to mill, call from Frozen Resentment, overcall the Prison Dragon, and call something, I can't then use this same Prison Dragon to, you know, bring something back. Yeah, we'll mill that, I guess. And there's nothing that has like a good on-place effect or anything like that. Aside from this, technically, you can get another marker. And try and finish the game here. So we'll use this skill first. To make this a lot stronger, and then we'll call this out. This is actually a stronger booster, so we'll actually call it over here. Actually, that's a good idea. Good idea, me. I meant to do that all along. All right, let's go ahead and move this up, and then just go to battle here. We have our Triple Drive. We have this that at least is 35, and this is a nice 38. So pretty sizable numbers. If I can hit a front, perfect. If I have one, because, you know, again, I'm a funny little guy that decided to play draws. But we'll see. Seems like I have everything. I don't see any fronts so far. Okay, we have 1 in damage, so we have at least 1 left. They're going to do 1 to pass here for our Triple Drive. Unfortunately, we're going to immediately break through with the crit trigger. Yeah, they didn't really check anything too crazy. It looks like from the draw, they weren't able to get what they needed to be able to guard. So, unfortunately, just going to do a 2 to pass here. We're going to get a draw trigger. We'll give it here to make that a little bit stronger. Of course, now we get the Zorga Mask to Persona Ride here, but we did manage to, thanks to the cup, actually Persona Ride and whatnot. We're going to break through with the crit. There's no over trigger. They would have to heal twice to make it through this. That is going to do it. It took me forever to finally get a match where I didn't misplay, and I actually got to play, you know, play out Zorga Mask and get Prison Dragons. I didn't get to do double Prison Dragon, but to be honest, that's part of the experience of playing Zorga. That's just how it'd be. I'm not the best Zorga player, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll pretend to know the answer and answer for you. But until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Play Vanguard and have yourselves a damn good one.